At work, it can feel like stress is coming from deadlines, meetings, and expectations. But what if the pressure you feel isn't actually coming from the outside world? I'm Luke Richardson, and this is Wave Work Stress Goodbye, a podcast exploring the inside-out understanding and seeing how our minds work can transform the way we experience work, pressure, and performance. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello my friends and welcome back to Wave Work Stress Goodbye. If you're new, welcome. My name is Luke, I'm a podcaster and a work stress coach, and I'm on a mission to help people like you, corporate world workers or any workers in any industry for that matter, realise that they have true mental health deep within them. They just don't know it, and my mission is to help you to realise that you do. So what is today's episode? This week's episode, in fact. This week's episode is about commuting. You know, the grind of commuting. And why is it? Why is it that when we commute to our job, that we can get out of bed in the morning, feel on top of the world about the day, feel hope, feel like it's going to be a great day, and the commute doesn't bother us, and we get to work, do our jobs fine, and the commute back doesn't bother us. But on some days, we feel it, don't we? We feel the ball ache of having to get on a bus or a train or drive on the motorway or highway in a couple of hours to get to a job, and we feel it and don't like it. But the funny thing is, it's the same job and the same commute. So what's really going on? Well, this is what I'm going to explore with you guys on today's episode. So I'll talk to you a bit about my history of work commuting. Now, thankfully, I've never been a person who's had to. Well, first of all, I've known of people. I live in the centre of England, and a train ride to London is a good couple of hours. And I've known people, particularly before COVID, before the lockdown occurred, and people work from home a lot more. I've known people get on a train to London 3 or 4 times a week, and I had to get on with it. That's just their job and what they do. Whereas I never had to do that, thankfully. But I did have some difficult commutes. So I guess from my earliest memory of commuting, when I got my first job in the corporate world, I just got out of uni and I still live with my mum and dad. And I was 22, just turned, yep. And I got my first job in January 2011, and I commuted. I did shift work at the time. I did 8 4s and 2 10s, and at the weekend it was 10 while 8, so 10-hour shifts at the weekend rather than 8 hours. And I drove from my mum and dad's house to in Chesterfield to Sheffield, which is about up to an hour's drive. Well, but not that long really, about 30-45 minutes drive. And as I said at the start of this recording, at the start of my commuting, I was full of enthusiasm for my new job and was really looking forward to getting into the world of work. And as time went on, it waned, and it was easy back then to blame my circumstances, blame the job, blame the commute, everybody else's fault but mine. I had them all under the sun. I labelled them, and what now I've come to understand deeper about how the mind works, it wasn't my commute at all. It was my thinking. And eventually, about this time of the year, actually, about May 2011, so about 4-5 months after landing that first job, I moved out of my parents' house into a shared flat in Sheffield, and my commute then went from a 40-45 minute car ride best case to getting a 15-20 minute tram from the tram stop round the corner. And that improved a lot for me. But even then, my experience of that commute differed from time to time. I loved going on the tram. I just loved chilling out to my own thoughts. And other times I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the people. Couldn't stand the queues to get on. It was so busy. Why was the tram so late? Again, all the excuses to other excuses that I had as to why I didn't like my commute to work. But other times I really, really enjoyed my commute to work. And again, I never questioned at the time, but looking back, it was all coming from my own thinking. Then, what did I do? Then me and my now wife met, and we got our first shared flat also in Sheffield, and that became a 20-minute or so bus ride. And again, same thing, me and my wife started to go to work together, so the experience was different, and we obviously loved each other's company doing that, but it was the same, one day we loved our commute together, and next minute we hated our commute together. It was the weather, standing at the cold of the bus stop, did our nuts in. And other days we actually enjoyed standing at the bus stop. It gave us a chance to talk as a couple and connect with one another. Then we bought a house back in Chesterfield, so back to where my roots are, where my mum and dad live. And this time I'm from the south middle of Chesterfield, and this house we bought was in the north of Chesterfield, which bordered onto it was on the north of Chesterfield, which bordered onto Sheffield, and that became a 30-minute car share ride for us. And again, same thing. One day we loved car sharing together and talking to one another, and the next minute next day we didn't. You see the pattern I'm trying to say by giving you all these different examples, and what happened next in my life. So I hope I'm not boring you, but this is true to my life, so it's all I've got. We then bought a house in Chesterfield, and we had our first child 4 years later. So we bought that house in late 2014, and in 2018, so looking about 3.5 years later, we had my oldest daughter, who's, I can't believe it, going to be 8 next month. And that meant my wife went on maternity leave with my oldest daughter, and as such, because I didn't want to be a selfish husband, taking the car to work every day, leaving my wife stranded at home with a baby, not being able to go out to parks and meet friends and that kind of thing, I told her I'd get the number 50 bus every day when I went, and that involved me having to walk 2 minutes from our house via our cul-de-sac to the main road and get the 10 past, I think it was something like 7:07 bus in the morning, which took me an hour to get to Sheffield to start work at 9 o'clock. And looking back, I don't know how I did it. Because when I went home, I had to do the same thing. I had to get something. I finished work at 5, half 5. I had to get the 6:15 bus, and I didn't get back till 7. And looking back, I don't know how I did it with a wife to support, a newborn baby, and I had to get up the next day and do it all again. It was very, very tiring, thinking back. But again, same thing. When it was absolutely fine in my mind, I enjoyed it. I loved the opportunity to chill out from work and home life and put my music on. I just enjoyed the bus ride. And other times, I'll be honest, I just thought, oh, what a ball ache having to get the bus again. And this bus, as I say, took an hour to get me to work. It went all around the houses. I'm not joking. So it was obviously where we lived a quicker way to get to Sheffield, but this bus route seemed to go away from Chesterfield and Sheffield to pick people up to go back into Sheffield. But it was the best I had. We could only afford one car at the time, and we didn't have a lot of money. And as I said, I wanted my wife to have the car because I wanted to be the best husband I could be to her and say, you have the car. There was an odd day where she wasn't going out and told me to take the car, and that was nice to have that, and it made you realise how grateful you were to have a car rather than get the bus. But yeah, it was that's the way it was. And eventually we ended up getting 2 cars because this waned on me after a year, and we did the same thing. My wife looked after our daughter and had the car to go out and raise our eldest, and I used the other car to go to work. And in 2019, we bought another house, the house I'm doing this podcast in, talking to you right now in. We bought our family home that we're in now with our youngest daughter, and I started to. This was in the south of Chesterfield, and I drove with the second car that I just mentioned that we bought, and this obviously, because it was the south of Chesterfield, not the north of Chesterfield, I had to get into Sheffield for work, and as I mentioned before, it was the same thing. One day it was fine, and the next day it wasn't, and the frustrating thing was my understanding of life wasn't as big as it is now, and it was all coming from my own thinking. And little did I realise at the time, and this is why I'm doing this recording for you about work commutes, because if you're someone who isn't as lucky as some people to work from home as much and has to get a bus, get a train, drive a certain amount of time every day, and it's waning on you, and you're fed up with the traffic and that kind of thing, I hope this really helps get through to you that we aren't the victim of any circumstance in our life in the outside world. We're not victims of what happens out there. It's all happening within us, and that's exactly why you can have a commute to work that is joyous one moment and not so joyous the next. And that's because our experience of life isn't attached to the thing we think it's attached to. And then lockdown came the year after, and I worked from home a lot more in my old job, and I worked from home for about, 2 years, until I started to wean back going into the office again from 2022. And the work I do now, I go into the office twice a week and I drive, and as I said, one of those days it's great, the next it's not, and that's the pattern that we all have if we commute to a job. One minute we love it, and the next minute we hate it, and that is something that's quite interesting, isn't it? And that's why I want to talk to you about it, because it's a big thing, commuting, and if it is really weighing on you, doing it day in, day out, I'm not saying, because you understand what I'm trying to say, that you shouldn't leave a job for something that's a bit more closer and has more benefits for you. Absolutely. You should seriously investigate that. But if this job is the right job for you, but it's been kind of muddied by thinking that it's not helping you see the bigger picture because you're just anxious and stressed and fed up of the commute all the time, then that is a one-way ticket to choosing the wrong thing that's right for you. And I also used to commute to, well, it couldn't really call it commuting as such, but travel. I used to travel abroad for work. I used to go to the Republic of Ireland a lot. I used to go to Dublin and Cork and Galway. Beautiful places, by the way, to visit construction sites, because the work I was in was we installed internet solutions into these buildings that were being constructed. So I went abroad to visit those building sites in those different areas. I also went to various places in the UK, of course, but obviously going to Ireland I had to get a plane. And the first time I went to Ireland, I felt really excited, like, oh wow, this is so exciting, I'm going abroad for work. And after a few more trips, it started to wane, and it didn't seem as exciting anymore, but I was still going to Ireland to work for my company. So what's really happening there if you're a traveller like I was in your job? It's not going to Ireland, it's not going around the UK, it's not travelling to America, the States, or from the state, if you're listening from the States, or travelling from the States to various states around the country or abroad. That's doing it to us. It's our thinking that we are creating moment to moment. And if you understand that your uncomfortable feelings and thoughts are not coming from out there, they are being internally produced, then you're free. You've cracked it. You've cracked life. You might not have it all sorted out on the outside. You might want a better job. You might want more money. You might want more family security. Those things are fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting those things. I want those things too. But when we start to get confused by thinking those things outside of us can affect us in here internally, then that's when we get ourselves in trouble. And I still get myself in trouble. Don't you dare think because I do this on the side and help you guys try and see this, that I'm immune to it. I'm not. I'm a human being just like you, and I fall for it, and that should give you comfort. But we can all fall for it and understand what's going on together, and that makes us more happier, productive, more compassionate for others. With understanding. That's all we need together. Understanding. So if you're someone who is in that place of commuting and you're fed up and you want to improve your life, your quality of life, by having a better relationship with yourself by understanding, like I've said, then this is the podcast recording for you. And if you enjoyed it and want to let me know you enjoyed it, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to go even deeper and have a 15-minute free conversation with me, absolutely, we can get that arranged. Email me at onefootaway1988@gmail.com. That's onefootaway1988@gmail.com. I just love to hear from you. Let me know what you thought of the recording, and it gives me a lot of encouragement to keep going and do these because I do enjoy, as a coach, I do enjoy doing it. And also, as I say, if you want to explore something further about us working together, by all means we can do that. We can have a 15-minute free chat together. I'll give you that for free, and we could see if I fit you as a coach, and if you want to go ahead even further with me, that's absolutely fine. We can do that. I have more recordings to come, more exciting things to come. I have a library full of previous recordings if you've not had a chance to listen to those yet, and more to come. I have more guests to come as well, exciting people. I've got a yoga teacher to come. I've got a relationship coach to come. Who else have I got? I've got another 3 principles teacher to come. So what I teach you guys is a 3 principles background of understanding. I've got a fellow 3 principles coach coming on the podcast soon. And I've got a speaker. So if you are someone who is someone who has to get up on stage, do presentations, has to speak in your corporate job, you get paid to do that. I've got someone coming on the podcast as well, all who does that. All very, very, very exciting things. And if you're not aware, I have a free work stress guide. It's in the description on this episode. All you have to do is put your email address in and you will get an email back with the work stress guide. And also there's a short video in there and me saying hello to you and thanking you for signing up and getting that guide. So I hope you got a lot out of this. If you are a traveller for work, it's sometimes shit one day and it's sometimes glorious the next, but with understanding you can have a better relationship with that. And until next time, take care, and I'll see you on the next episode of Wave Work Stress Goodbye. Thank you friends. Speak to you soon. Bye now. Bye. If this episode resonated with you, then feel free to connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn, where I share more insights on work stress, leadership pressure, and the inside out understanding. You can also contact me directly via email at onefootaway1988@gmail.com. And if you're navigating pressure in your own career, you can download my free work stress guide using the link in the show notes. Until next time, take care, and remember, work stress might feel real in the moment, but it isn't who you really are. Thank you.